There are plenty of choices available for writing, ranging from free options like OpenOffice or Google Docs to ubiquitous choices like Microsoft Word to specialized software for specific writing purposes like Dabble and Scrivener. Costs similarly run the gamut. Google Docs and OpenOffice are basically free, and Microsoft Word isn't free, but so many people own a copy of Microsoft Office that for a lot of people it's simply a cost that's already been paid. Then there are moderate priced softwares like Scrivener, which costs about $50, and subscription models like Noveler and Dabble, which often run the ballpark of $10 a month or about $100 a year if you prepay. With all of these options available, you might wonder how you can make the choice between them, or if it even really matters. Couldn't you just pick any of the free options and write the great American novel? The first part of the answer is sure. People wrote on typewriters with far less functionality than any modern word processor for decades, and with very good results. I tend to think of Microsoft Word as my yardstick for writing software. It's what I used for almost 20 years after it seemed like WordPerfect wasn't switching over to graphical environments well, but before I'd found purpose-built software like Scrivener. A lot of writers I talk to sound like they use Google Docs simply because it's free and the cloud sync is relatively convenient, and it's really not too bad of a choice, especially if you're working in shorter form writing. Honestly, I never saw Microsoft Word as a limiting factor in my writing process when I was primarily working in short stories. Even today, I'll happily use Word to write shorter things like the script for this video. I'll even use my normal out-of-order composing process. Here, you can see I'm at the top of the page, and I started beyond a normal introduction. Right? I know that I need an introduction, I just haven't written it yet. That's really common for me, so that I can get down the main beats of a story or a script. If I know that there's a section that I want, I can just start writing out that section, and the different parts that I begin become in ersatz outline. So instead of formally writing out an outline or putting together a beat board, the document itself is the outline or the beat board. And if what I'm writing is going to be, say, under 10,000 words, I mean that's about 30 pages or so, then I don't need a lot of complicated writing tools. Now, the second part of the question, does it matter what writing software I choose, it starts to change a little bit when we get to something like novel writing software. Right? The novel has a much longer and more complicated plot structure. The plot can be so big that it's hard to remember every part of it, or you might want some way to visualize it. There might be multiple point of view characters to switch between, and different subplots to keep track of. The cast of characters is often much larger, which becomes especially important as some of those minor characters may have subplots of their own, and you may need to keep track of their personal backstories and motivations. Now, you can use Microsoft Word to do all of that. Yeah, absolutely. You can make a file to hold character notes, or you could create a separate file for each character, or you could just designate an area of your novel manuscript for character notes. Consulting these notes is a bit annoying. You can switch between windows, you can navigate around. If you have two monitors, you can compose in one window and have notes in the other. Similarly, you can keep a separate file for outlines or other plot visualizations. It is a bit annoying, but it's doable. But if you want to compose out of order, things fall apart pretty quickly. Remember how I wrote this script out of order? If I were to do that for a 300-page novel, it would be a nightmare. Microsoft Word doesn't have a great way to navigate between unfinished sections of a novel. The navigation pane's document map can move you rapidly between sections, and it provides a visual outline, but it works by building that map based on headings, and those have to be properly organized by using the different style presets. If you're really good about labeling every section that you start, that might be okay. Personally, I ended up just creating a different file for every section that I started, and on a longer project that was just a descent into madness. It was a ton of files that were annoying to switch between, and it was really hard to organize into a shape because the file explorer alphabetizes everything. So I couldn't take different scenes and even experiment with where I wanted them. But then I didn't want to just put them into one large document because I couldn't just drag them around to where I wanted, so I knew that there's going to be a lot of cutting and pasting, and it was going to be really annoying and really fiddly to do all of that by hand. That's not good if you just have a really cool idea for a scene and you're not quite sure where it should go. Enter Scrivener and other non-linear writing environments. The Scrivener Binder works as an organizer that holds multiple sub-documents. You have folders and subfolders. The binder can hold acts, chapters, scenes, whatever you want to call them. It can also hold character notes, plot notes, research, and so forth. Scenes and chapters can be easily reorganized by dragging them around. All of this creates a really flexible writing environment, and it makes jumping around in the story very easy. You can work on chapter 7, and then if that gives you an idea for something that you have to foreshadow in chapter 3, you can just jump right back there and write that in. You can leave yourself a note. Scrivener has organizational tools to leave yourself a summary statement or a statement of intent about chapters. You can mark the stage that the work is in, from first draft and feedback to a polished final draft. Some writers find this level of apparatus unnecessary, even distracting, but others find it really helpful, particularly writers who have a lot of projects in flight at any given time or who take long breaks from projects. To some people, writing a novel out of order might feel like complete and utter chaos. And if that's the case for you, then probably skip these kinds of software and go with one of the cheaper alternatives. But if you're like me, and the first time you saw this, you realized that this is what you were trying to hack together in Microsoft Word, but it never really had the tools to let you do properly, and something like Scrivener just looks fantastic, then you should download a free trial to one of those softwares. Ultimately, my advice to writers is to use a writing software that fits your process. If you're the kind of writer who starts at the beginning and ends at the end, then use a software that's designed to work with that process. If you jump around and you write out of order and you make sense of it all as you go, then try something that's going to work with that process. The software might not automatically make you a better writer, but software that lets you work your process more efficiently can speed you up. Since switching my writing over to Scrivener, I tend to write more per day. Part of that is the efficiency of organizing and planning out my writing, and part of it is just being less frustrated. If I enjoy the writing, and I feel like the writing is transparent and my software is helping me, I just want to write more. I have more mental, psychological endurance. It's hard to say what's the best writing software for any particular person. I haven't found anything that's so versatile that I could recommend it for everybody. So my best suggestion is to try a few. Most writing software comes with a limited time free trial. Give it a try and do some writing. Every software I've seen so far will let you export your writing after the free trial is over. They export to common formats like .odt, so you don't need to worry about losing everything that you write. Trying a software's planning and drafting tools might give you new insight into your own writing process. It can be a really good use of time if you find yourself in a writing slump and you just want to try something new that's going to break you out of that. In a good case scenario, finding a writing software that matches your process will make you feel more comfortable and efficient as a writer, and that's a really good feeling. I hope you find something that works for you, and I hope you write a lot.